Good evening, Inspilled Glimmers, and welcome to our Archazia's Island set review. With us today, we have, of course, Alexandru, who's
As
there as
always, here,
always,
as
and
always,
we're welcoming back Patrick, DeVoTeD, Cote, and S4iler, who both got their continental invites since the last time we talked to them. So
worlds.
that's what I said, world's invite at the North American Continentals. Pat, congrats on the top four.
Thank you.
S4iler, congratulations on the top eight. Well deserved for both of you. Really hyped to see you go to Worlds whenever that may be.
Who knows?
Hopefully,
I'm as hyped as you are, or
yeah,
even
exactly. So just to confirm or to deny the rumors on Reddit, you guys haven't heard anything we haven't from Worlds.
Nope.
I saw conspiracy theories that the players already have the information, but us plebeians don't have. Like, no, that's not really how it happens.
Those things have been going around since like Continentals, and like players were like outcrying on X, being like, Continentals are in 20 days, like in Europe, and we don't know anything. So why would they give us like private and like privileged information? Like, okay, it would make some sense, but they aren't going to do it at this point.
So, set review, set 7. Before we jump into the cards, how excited are you? I know, for myself, like I think it's the most hyped I've been about a set, basically since like sets 1 and 2. I think this is one of their best sets, not necessarily competitively, but overall the flavor of the set, the card design, the art's amazing. So, but what are you guys' thought? You've probably delved a little bit deeper than I have into it.
All right, I can go first. I think it's very exciting first because of the dual ink. I think it's a very important mechanic so they can help the color pairing that are kind of bad right now. But unfortunately, I don't think they did a really good job with all of them, the dual ink, but some of them are very cool. So at least it's potential for future set. And then I'm also very surprised by the way they went with design, allowing to have like a new game ending rule with 25 lore, or being able to remove ink from inkwell. Like these are like crazy design that they now open for much more complex gameplay. So just think for the future now that these gates are open.
Yeah, bouncing the ink, looking at your ink to play your puppy cards, and
That's gonna be interesting.
puppy deck definitely meta for next set.
We rarely think about how these designs are also not necessarily made for competitive play, and I think a lot of these cards highlight that for Archazia's Island. Of course, there's some very, very, very meta-defining cards that are being also released. They're mostly in one color, so I don't know how that will affect the overall metagame.
It's fine. It's one of your colors, so you're good.
I'm good. Well, yeah, maybe. Unless like I'm targeted as like the number one deck, then I don't know if I'll be able to adapt. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely some colors that got a little more love in terms of competitive deck building this set.
And one thing
That's-
that we need to note also here with this set is that the legendary are good. Like a lot of them are very good in my opinion, and that's great for pack opening. It creates some hype because in other sets like legendary are so bad that you kind of just want to buy like singles. And the bad part of this is that deck is going to be more expensive, but at least the hype from opening pack is going to be higher, I think.
I mean, with
Yeah.
good legendaries, collectors are more likely
Yeah.
to also open packs trying to crack the. I said legendaries, enchanted. Collectors are more likely than to try to crack that and give the rest back to the market. So hopefully it helps.
Yeah, and like I think it's one of the sets with the strongest like spread of legendaries. Like we just said, I'm always joking about steel legendaries because steel is my jam, and it always has been. And it's always like with steel legendaries, like other trash or completely broken. There's no like okay steel legendaries. They're all broken or complete trash.
Well, we might have the first okay ones this set. So what we did prior to
Who
the
knows?
episode, we asked you guys to come up with your top 10 cards and a honorable mention or two. A lot of that was intersecting, so we brought this all together in a nice little pod. We're going to look at them in card order. We have 23 cards that were brought up once or more for discussion, so let's dive into the things that made us stick for this new set. Starting with Aurora, Waking Beauty, one of the legendaries we were talking about.
Beautiful card, and the challenge with this card is to find a place against Ariel. I don't think this card will replace it, but if you see some of the successful Steel Song, they also play Gaston, and I think this one could replace Gaston. The key point for this card is really the 4 HP, which goes so well with Rapunzel. You can play this on 3, fight back that OP Bell or like other 3/3. There's a lot of them in the meta, like there's also the Grand Matala. And then heal up, you have this ready again, you can sing. Being able to double sing is also interesting. You can sing Whole New World, heal something, and then sing another strong song. So this one has a lot of potential, and against control deck, at least it does quest for 2, so compared to Ariel, it puts more pressure on the board. It's obviously weaker to the Sisu, but the other senior 5 also weak to that, even Gaston with the coil and ice block and stuff. So at this point, might as well just put some pressure and try to double sing with that card, or just like quest and ready that up so that it doesn't get challenged. So yeah, I think it has a lot of potential in Steel Song, but also in Red Yellow Control Song, which I did play in set 4 and set 6 and had quite a lot of success because you can sing like Titan Ambition, Rapunzel, and then sing Beacon Undisputed and just clear 2 characters and have like 2 good quester on board. So yeah, this one I'm very interested to try it out.
Yeah, also of note, like, we've had a lot of attempts by Ravensburger to make healing work in overall play or metagame or whatever. And I put a card over there that might help the Ember Sapphire healing deck get its bearing. I think this might be where a card like that could fall, but yeah.
Because I can address like something that has been kind of a theme for some of those archetypes we're talking about, like healing that is kind of spread across 3 colors ish. We can say the same about pirates,
Yep.
let's say. So like it's kind of starting to become a trend with archetypes to be spread across 3 colors. So now you have interesting choices as of deck building to make. I'm just like shouting back to last week live that where you were playing one of your sons blue red healing deck. So like it was very interesting, and like I was saying, and you weren't agreeing with me. I was like, yeah, yellow healing is really a yellow thing, and you're like, well, it kind of works without the yellow. So
Yeah, like a lot of the healing is done in Ember, but a lot of the payoffs are in Sapphire, and a lot of the targets are in Ruby. So it's a really weird interaction.
Triple link decks when.
Yeah, exactly. Next
set 9.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, moving right on. Lady, Miss Park Avenue, one of the first card we actually got revealed for the set. Really interesting for aggro players, that's for sure. But
Who had this
how
on their
much?
bingo card?
Yeah, I had this in like my last spot, like the top 10. I'm not an aggro player that much, so I cannot really speak by experience. But to me, what I see when I'm playing against aggro is that they usually run out of steam pretty quick, and this being able to bring back 2 characters is pretty good. And in green and yellow, you have some key character that cost 2. You can bring back an Ursula against a Song heavy deck to remove another Be Prepared, or bring back some heavy quester like the Piglet. So yeah, having a card that costs 5 or for 4 quest for 2 that basically draws 2, but you can choose them because by the time you play that, you must have like 2 characters in your discard. I think it's gonna be pretty good. Like that's why the little Lilo, the 2-drop that comes back all the time is good. Is because you run out of steam and you need to have something on board. But this one kind of does it well. So I don't think the shift target are pretty good. So maybe you want to play Morph. I'm not sure, but just playing this for 5 is still good enough for catching up and finishing the game.
Yeah, you kind of don't need to shift that
Yeah.
because, like, on turn 3, you probably don't have 2 target to get back. So I
Yeah.
went kind of first full circle on that one. I first like thought, and then I kind of liked it, and then I tested it, and I think it's a good card. I just don't think the archetype is viable. I think like hyper aggro that would
Without
be playing
purple?
this exactly just it doesn't have reach basically. And you could end up at 19. It doesn't matter that you can play two other characters if they can take them out with Elsa's and Big Sisu's, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like a S tier card in the B tier deck, so that's why it's not as
exactly.
great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it kind of comes out as the interesting restriction with double ink cards in this set. Sometimes they're like really good, and bringing me back to my previous point, you're like, it would be so much better if it were like in either another color or if you could be playing the third color with it. But then it would just be a big mess. But just to bring ourselves back to the shift on this card, I feel the shift is like really interesting if you play it later on in the game. So when you mention morph, maybe if you do a play setting up a morph on turn like I don't know 6 or 7, and then you can immediately deploy the things you brought back if you're sure that they're not going to be taken out by something like a be prepared or whatnot. It's a lot of pressure that you can set up really quickly and really efficiently.
One last thing to note is that if we get more of like disruptive two-cost characters, this could be played like in similar to a debt and taxes kind of deck, you know. And I think historically the Emerald has been fitting that role quite a bit well
Yeah,
with the
they're
two-drop
definitely
Ursula, the Honeymoon, and the Go-Go. So there are already like a few good ones, but we're only missing a few others, and then that could be unlocked, I think.
Yeah, and just the ability to return a go-go can, like, with the right shell,
scary.
can definitely be scary.
Yep.
Moving right up. So this one, very quick one. We discussed about the Aurora a little bit earlier. I was saying about how certain cards might unlock certain colors. To me, Restoring the Heart is one of those cards. If Ember Sapphire Healing is ever going to work, is ever going to do something, having a 1-mana draw card that also enables your engine and can heal location, I mean, that's a pretty good rate in that kind of archetype. I don't see it being viable this set, but I like that they're bringing enablers to try to bring those a little bit more feasibly.
Yeah, Healing Manor certainly looks annoying.
Healing Manor, healing Rapunzel's Tower, stuff like that. I think this is the big part of the card is the or location.
Yeah.
This is like the really, really interesting part on that
Yeah,
card.
healing a McDuck's Manor or a Rapunzel Tower is like,
Good thing this
Not
isn't
again.
blue-red, because it would have been pretty good. On blue-yellow, I think the problem is that even though you can heal like your location, you cannot really protect them. You don't have any board wipes, so until we have board wipes, I think this card is gonna be hard to play. But there's a lot of combos to be done with healing.
a
at
blue
some
board wipe where everything goes in the ink.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's it.
Still waiting for
Yeah.
that card. It's so
Yeah,
thematic.
everybody-
Into the Unknown. Everybody's been talking about Into the Unknown.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
So, speaking of enablers, Honey Marin. Oh, I'm gonna butcher that. Northuldra guide.
I guess. So yeah, this one is my honorable mention or my top 10. I can remember exactly. I think it was my top 10. So 2/2 for 2, quest for 1, and this honestly will almost always gain 1 lower because you're playing this in aggressive shell, and they need to challenge your character all the time. And you have a lot of characters that, like Diablo or Rabbit, even if they're challenged, you're just gaining the card back. And so you're not afraid to just let them exert it too much. And so this just becomes another White Rose, Goat, and Giant Cobra. So I think it's not that the card is insane. I just think that it suits the color it's in very well, and one of the way to approach that Amethyst going forward.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want with like new sets coming out. Sometimes just having a little more redundancy with your effects. It makes a lot of sense. Makes your decks more solid sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if what aggro needed to be more solid was another uninkable gain 1 lore on entry.
I mean, set 6 was the first time aggro was like aggro tempo, let's say, was more of a thing
Yeah.
for the first time, because aggro always has been like something in week 1, week 2, and then disappearing completely in every like meta ever since chapter 1.
Yeah, because it's easy to tune your deck against aggro. So
He was never good in chapter 1, though.
Sure, you were right.
Moving right along. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, Pierre-Marc. Giant Cobra, Ghostly Serpent. One of the cards I'm actually really hyped about for my Amethyst Steel deck. Because as you said, like it's a double goat effect. You play it, you discard a card, you gain 2 Lord. That's a game, like that's a finisher right there. It's a 4/4 for 3.
yeah, overstated is always nice. Like we all
Yeah.
remember Madame M. Snake and Smee, they are overstated and they are pretty good. And this one is even more overstated because of the keyword, which is not that bad. Because yes, they can use a fire cannon on this, but it only costs you 3. So if they use like an expensive action or song, it's not that bad. And you could have used the enter the battlefield effect already. So this is good on turn 3 because it's so huge and can change anything, but it's also good late game because it's a goat. And if you're playing some cards like Duck or Whole New World, it's kind of nice because you can discard maybe your duplicate that are not useful at all anyway in the early game. But it's cool that it has a different purpose for the early and the late game that it can adapt. So yeah, it's a pretty good card.
Probably
Yeah,
the
for-
only illusion that's going to be viable, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the better one. There's only 3, so it was not too hard. Also, I think this is like a more proactive turn 3 than most of what Amethyst Steel was playing. Outside of like Lawrence, that was pretty good in a proactive manner. This is like better, of course, than like Fox and Crab when you want to go proactive. Like those cards are insane when you want to be reactive, but this is a very good proactive card when you just want to.
Because I'm
Like,
trying to think, the only
long
other, I guess, proactive to a degree card would be Library, and you don't want to drop it on 3. You want to be able to move something onto it.
Get your
Or you
value
play it,
already.
so yeah.
Yeah. And in the deck I use at the Continental, I had like 1 Bell, and there isn't a lot of good card with 4 HP in purple still. Like I didn't play the Lawrence, so like White Rose, it's maximum 2. So usually the Bell needed like a Genie to do something cool with 3 damage or something. But now with the Giant Cobra, it's probably very easy to put 3 damage there with the new 3-drop Bell, the Blue Bell, or other good 3/3s. I think it's gonna be easy to put 3 damage, and maybe the Bell is gonna be still meta after that.
And one last thing that I want to mention is that it's quite good into Ruby decks because you don't like the Vanish basically is not a relevant text. Like you never target anything right outside of Brawl, but this of course cannot be brawled, right? You cannot target this with Brawl.
Yeah, no, and even the Ruby Sapphire decks, like the abilities don't trigger Vanish, so the Ice Block
No.
doesn't matter, the Coil
Exactly.
doesn't matter, so...
I mean,
Yeah, it
Coil
has to be an
does
action.
matter, but
Well,
because-
it does, but not...
yeah, not to the Vanish ability.
Exactly,
but,
that's
yeah.
the Vanish ability. Coil will very much matter. We're going to talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like the strength of illusion is the fact that there's really not a lot of them. That's probably gonna change with the next set that's about Jafar. But for now, since there's so few illusion, there's no way someone was gonna put like bad targeting action just to handle illusion for low cost. Like you're not gonna put like a 1 cost action in red just to target this guy and banish. So yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna just change your deck to respect
One
a
single
one card that has that line of text.
But if sometime in the future there's an illusion based deck that's pretty good, then the card's gonna be worse because they are gonna adapt. But for now,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think that could be possible competitively, right? Because there's so many of them that recycle themselves and just target anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the steel 3-cost song, basically.
I mean, Blue Steel is probably still plays FTC. I mean, Fighter Cannon, but that's pretty much about it. The 1 cost stuff that targets are not great usually.
No, but there in blue there's this track that gives -2 strength to our card.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's not played.
yeah, not now.
No, I know, but we were talking in a scenario where
yeah,
like
yeah,
illusions
yeah.
are big, right? Yeah.
One of my
Oh,
favorite Disney characters just chilling out in the sun here, Kronk laid back. made a few honorable mentions lists, so definitely worth bringing him up.
Yeah.
I don't know for you guys. For me, I like I don't think it's going to be competitive, but they definitely built a shell around him and a lot of discard something of yours in either Emerald, Amethyst, or pure Emerald, where if you have him, it's just pure value, right?
Yeah. Oh, this card is in my honorable mention because, like you said, it's probably not meta yet, but it has so much potential. If this was purple steel, it would have been crazy. Obviously, with the whole new world, but there's so many cards in steel that you can
Duh.
draw and discard, and they just added one in
Also
green.
sings it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They only added one, which is like a little Isma. I feel like as much as they had cards like this gets better. There's also the strike a good match that's pretty good. You can double sing strike to draw 4, discard nothing, so the card becomes super strong. And I think it's good because of the ward and more than 2 attack. Like that's a very good keyword plus stat line. Quest for 2 useful, but might be playing more control games. I'm not sure, but the 4 attack ward pretty damn nice. Yeah, this guy has a lot of potential in the future. And if discard deck are still good, I mean they are good, but they're not played that much like green steel. This could be good because it's super strong against that. It's also good against, I guess, the Steel Song whole new world stuff. But yeah,
I'm thinking he's probably going to have more play if blue green becomes a thing with the geyser and the bend to my will and all of that around it. Like,
Cheeky play patterns.
yeah,
The problem is that you cannot run tech cards like that are
Oh, no.
uninkables.
especially if you don't have blue to ink, then there's a problem. Does it
No,
work
exactly.
against Ink Geyser? I didn't read that enough. to make
not
sure.
in geyser per se. Like it's going to bounce to your hand, but someone playing in geyser will probably want you to discard those cards to a Prince John Mirror or a Basil or whatever.
Yeah, because it's a discard ink. It's returned to your hand. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's more about the ban. All right.
The bend the Prince. I know, like the people taking for it right now are looking at Prince John Mirror. They're looking at the shift Basil that whenever you ink, you can pay 1 to make the opponent discard and really try to control the hand.
Yep.
Speaking of controlling, but this time the discard pile, the Queen. I think Drew, you're the one who put that one, right? Or was it Pierre Marc?
Nope.
I put it.
Yeah, that was yours.
Yeah, this is a 4 cost for 3 quest for 1, and you can tap it to choose 3 cards into your opponent's discard to gain 3 lore, and if any of them are princesses, you get 4 instead. So this, I think, could be played in Ruby Amethyst because you do a lot of removal. There's a lot of like back and forth. It plays a little bit of the long game, but also it plays the ready effects in Ruby, so that you can double up on this and gain 6 to 8 lore in one shot. Something like LeFou, for example.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of it.
Shield of
in-
Virtue.
Like in that shit.
And as like we had cards like that before that could like quest for 3 or 4, but something like Isabella Madrigal. But that one you couldn't quest with your other characters, but also her stats wasn't as good. Like the 4 power, I think, is pretty relevant. So I could see this card being played, not a lot, and I don't think like that, even though like it will never be an expensive, I don't think, because it will never be a 4-up, and it will never be played in more than maybe one day. But
Yeah, and
But that's
I could
still more
see
value
like
than
a
I was
2-up.
seeing in it, because I read it and I thought similar to the last set Yzma, like it's a 4 mana do nothing, 4 ink do nothing, and you need it to survive a turn to do its effect.
that's kind of the point I wanted to bring. Like activated abilities, like tap abilities in Lorcana have been like kind of historically not great. The most played one was the Diviner Queen, the blue one from set number 4. That was the only one that saw little play when it came out in that like really heavy items deck. But then like that I think it's kind of a shame also because like activate abilities are most of the time really interesting, but you cannot always get the value out of them just having to have your character stick to the board for a turn to make it work. And maybe it will change with time when if the nature of the game kind of changes a bit, or if like the removal is not as proficient as it is right now.
We'll get an item that says characters can activate their activated abilities that turn their played.
Activate ability haste.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in the good old days, there was a purple queen that actually was used with the tap ability, but that was
Yeah,
just
I was gonna bring that up.
it was so fun. But yeah, it
Chapter one,
was
you mean?
yeah, just tap draw a card, but it
Yeah.
was because there was so few cards that okay, I guess this fits the deck. But now for this queen, it costs 4, so basically fights with the 4
Okay.
cost spot of the goat, and the goat does lore all the time. This one doesn't. So, but if there's
How could
the
I-
deck that does a lot of cool stuff with the discard, then maybe that's gonna be a key card. But it might be too slow.
I was
anyway.
about to say, with the blue legendaries that we're gonna have and all the Bell shenanigans, maybe it's gonna be relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like my top 9, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
there's
it's
some
your
potential. It's not like I'm not in love with it, but I think
No,
there's
but-
something to it.
You brought stuff I hadn't seen in it, so that's interesting for sure. And here's another one that made a few honorable mention, and my personal top 10. Again, not from a competitive standpoint, but more, this enables both sides of Emerald and Ruby. Emerald wants opponents to have damaged character. Ruby wants your characters to be damaged. I really like the design of it, and it gives a lot of, I will say, dead Emerald cards some more legs to stand on. All of the cards that rely on opponents having damage character, so like the Shift Cheshire Cat. There's a new one, I guess, also that banishes or bounces.
There were a lot of Robins that care about that too.
The Wake Up Alice, that's the one. The one cost bounce a damage character.
Yeah. Well, like I have to say, what you named, like the fact that it interacts so well with both its ink color is great design. It's and also like it's kind of incidental hate against like one willpower character. It's not like a thing a lot of the time because like this will come out later, but it's still kind of a good hate piece. And like I think it's just general interesting design. I don't think by any mean this card is going to be a powerhouse. This is just a joke with my Sherbrooke people. If they're listening to us right now, they're gonna understand the meaning of this. But yeah, it's a cool card. It's definitely a cool card.
It's what I would have liked to see a lot more in those dual color cards. Something that really brings both color identities
I
to
agree.
the table.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do love from this character specifically is that it's put a damage counter. It's not deal 1 damage. So like this is a way to get around a little bit of resist and be able to do some counter shenanigans. So definitely some like an interesting design choice, and the art of that is probably my favorite art of the set in the non-enchanted cards.
You just need to have like 2 on the board, and then you can say goodbye to Calhoun, and everyone's happy.
Hating on 2 well-powered characters, that's like very heinous.
Yeah,
But she has
yeah.
2
Very
strength.
annoying.
So I don't think it's gonna survive a long time, but it's a cool card.
no. If she had Ward, anyways.
If anything would have Ward, that would be a great card.
Yeah, exactly. One of the cards I was surprised to see on you guys' list, and because I thought it was fun but gimmicky, but I'm really curious to hear what you had to say about it. Baymax.
Okay, yeah. So 6 cost uninkable, 5/5 quest for 2, but it has universal shift, which is the first time we've seen this, and they only put it in one. On one character, is that it basically can be shifted onto any characters. And the second part is basically irrelevant. But the first, the universal shift is pretty broken. Like when you think about it, like any
Reverse
characters, any characters can be now a 5/5 out of nothing. And I think they need to be really, really, really careful about that mechanic because it could be very annoying to play against. But now it's that this can only be played in 2 colors. It's in these 2 colors. I think it makes for a great design, right? I think they really nailed it. And it also enables some of the things that you would want to be doing in these colors because it's like a 6 cost, but it can come up on turn 3, right? With Tipo onto it.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tipo is probably going to be the most shifted Baymax character.
Yeah, exactly. Which was quite funny. Like with people have put a meme onto it, and there's Tipo in the machine in the robot because of it. And
Okay,
so
now I can see it.
you could sing song right as early as turn 3, like How Far Go, whatever, or even you could unlock a very quick.
Turn 3
Under the sea?
That's nice.
How do you? Oh yeah, you play it
You
on
shift
turn.
on the-
You
with the
play
one drop.
you play a one drop character.
Tipo.
And then you play Tipo, and you shift this onto the turn 1 character, and
Yeah.
then you have 8 costs worth of sing together to sing Under the Sea.
Yeah, and also it works kind of well with one of the other cards in that color combination, the hero Hamada, the one that cares about characters that have shifted, which is kind of interesting because it's like a cool concept because they're from the same movie and whatnot. It's also like the set championship card, and you know, maybe there will be a blue green shift matters archetype.
I had this in my top 10 also, and for two more reasons. Like the first one, I did play a bunch of blue green, and usually their problem is that they don't have a lot of strength to attack. So sometimes they need to play the card that gives +3. I'm not sure the name, but yeah, it's not played that
Cricky.
much. Yeah, Cricky. So you kind of needed to play Cricky sometimes just to handle location or play some hideaways and stuff, because otherwise all your characters has like 2 or less attack, like the muses and stuff like that. So this is a way to challenge those location more in an easier way and more efficient way. But also, if you play against like a Gogo Tomago, if you have like a damage IRAM that has like 5 damage, you can just shift to heal it now. So it's less problematic because you cannot really easily remove your own IRAM if it's damaged. So with this, you can save yourself from a big Gogo.
Shifting on Hiram? What is this property?
Heresy
And wins
here.
your game if there's a Gogo on the other side. So
I mean, I could see it shifting on like a Prince John in a discard shell when your opponent no longer has a hand, and it's just like that 1/2 ward sitting there doing nothing because you don't want to quest with it, and now suddenly it's a 5/5.
yeah, it makes
That's
all
fair
your
enough.
1-drop and 2-drop more of a menace. So yeah, it's
Yeah. No, I think I'm coming around.
the
to-
only thing is that I feel you need to play maximum 2, but it's a good card.
Yeah, I mean,
The fact that it's uninkable is the actual hold up on it, right?
100%. Yeah, because a lot of those cards in that color combinations are uninkable. There's a lot of them, right? So you cannot play them all.
get an Incaster to the rescue.
Oh yeah, that dream.
Please no, please no.
Let's put a bad card into my deck so that I can ink my other bad cards.
Exactly. Speaking of things that are not a bad card, though, Pete the Space Pirate doing his best imitation of John Silver.
Yeah, that card is very like unintuitive. I think like you look at it, oh okay, it's just a beefy guy. But the strength to that card is that its shift target is one of the best card in the game.
Yep.
So and it fits right in turn 3, turn 4.
Yeah, exactly. It's right on
It's
curve.
the stickiest
Yeah.
shift target, that's for sure.
And it's a 5/5 resist 1. It can sing Bruno. It quests for 2. It's kind of a brawler versus the other steel decks. A very pain to get rid of.
And I mean, if you ever lend that against Steel Song, the game is just over. Like, not even basically over. It's literally over.
I've seen memes about like this card being searched after for hate crimes against Steel Song players. So yeah, I think I put it like pretty high in my list actually, if I remember correctly, because like this is actually one of the things I'm excited to do in this set. Like I'm a green steel player at heart. Like this is probably my favorite card combination with Steel Song. So you know, I'm excited to play it, not excited to play against it. It's a mixed bag, but I think like it's really big. It's a good clock. It has a lot of really relevant effects that are, yeah, kind of heinous. But you know what can you do? You need those cards to close out games.
Yeah, you basically have what, like World Greatest Criminal that you need to hardcast. Like that's
Yeah.
basically it, right? Because even Zeus doesn't one shot it.
That was just 4.
Unless it's been art tested.
It's pretty high on my list too. The fact that it gives resist to itself is the key part for me. Like resisting a Zeus is so key here, and the fact that there's a lot of good pirates already in the game that we already play. Like the shift target, we already play it, so you don't need to put like bad cards for shifting. There's also a new 1-drop P that I think can have potential, and then you have like the Smee that's a pirate that doesn't get damage at the end of the turn. Like there's already a good chunk of pirates, so I'm
They're
quite
bad though.
No, I mean, he's not a captain,
the
though, so if he
drop
doesn't triggers me.
It gives resist 1 to Smee.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
fine.
right, resist 1 to Smee. Oh,
Yeah,
true.
and the 2-drop
Yeah.
Smee is pretty good. So
No. What I'm saying is that like other than Smee, they're all bad, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Pirates.
yeah, but these are already good and already played, so it's not
Yeah.
like you need to put bad pirates for this card to be even better. So
Yeah.
and I'm
I agree.
really looking forward for a green steel deck that's not based on this card. I'm not sure if pirates gonna be it, but someday I do believe a non-discard green steel
It's-
deck could be working.
It's probably gonna be along the lines of the deck that I like playing. You know, like the green steel shift
Mid-range.
matter things. Yeah, mid range, big guys. So that's what I think it will be. And like, just to come back to what Pierre-Marc was saying, like, it's so oppressive to just like beat someone the three drop beat into shifting this, and you're just like, you can't do anything. Like
You couldn't
you're
play
actu-
actions, and now you cannot sing songs. Like, oh.
Yeah, it's pretty oppressive, like I said, and like it's very good against Steel Song, but not only that, like just denying some things, like if you're on the play, denying like the how far I'll go from the new blue red McDuck Shark deck. It's pretty big actually.
Yeah, most songs in the game are pretty bad if you don't sing them because they're too expensive for what they do. So yeah, this is a powerful effect since it's all the turns if this is exerted. So yeah.
Yeah, players won't be able to sing their Be Prepared anymore. What are they going to do about it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, nobody's saying "Be prepared" anymore.
Haven't seen that in a while.
Was in set 1 with Aladdin. Anyway,
Wow.
Yeah.
And Maleficent. I've seen
Yeah,
Maleficent
yeah.
sing Be Prepared.
Tamato wasn't there.
I mean, I've seen a Tamatoa singing "Be Prepared" in like a final in like, was it in Bochum? Like I was so unsure about that play. It wasn't the finals, and I was just like screaming at my computer screen.
Did he play another Tomato on the way back? Because that's like
No.
a good play.
No, he just like board wiped for like no real reason. I don't think he was like that endangered by the board on the other side. I don't remember exactly. I remember just like I was watching that
He
game
won
and
though, right?
he ended up winning like so many turns afterwards when he could have
Okay.
kept his Tamatoa and just won with that.
Okay, I can't remember.
I don't remember exactly the situation, but I remember being angry at my screen.
The emotions we remember.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah. Okay. So now you're just imitating Pierre-Marc from
Yes,
before the show.
but why?
What is
Yeah.
this?
Okay. Okay. I put this into my top 10. I think it was my number 10 or something.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my number 10. It would have been an honorable mention if my honorable mention wasn't used for a meme. So, what I want to say about this card is like, it's a good example of how they chickened out on making the card like really interesting. It could have been shift to just like use the effect right away. It could have been inkable just so it's not as horrible. Like I feel that the effect is quite interesting. The discard at random, like people from Magic will know how egregious it is to get him to 2-rocked, which is like a random discard spell. And like, but that's the thing. Like, it is really bad. It is very slow. I would have loved it to be like a shift because you could have shifted it onto any other Tremaine that we have in the game, and just do it right away. Also, maybe like having more built onto it, but we lost the green legendary spot on this one. It's probably one of the worst legendaries in the set.
What can we do? Universal shift.
Yeah, it's really the damage character, right? Like I
Yeah.
think at least
Yeah.
the it would be powerful if it was not for that clause.
Yeah, it would be a
Yeah.
Bruno basically if it wasn't for that.
Exactly,
So,
right? And so yes, it would be slow and potentially not landing, right? Because of like it needs to dry before you can use it and blah blah blah. But at least it would be powerful if you could get there, right?
yeah, forcing your
Yeah.
opponent to like replay cards every turn and keep cards in the hand so that they don't have like that's a bit more management than,
And still there it's at random, so maybe you still hit their threats.
oh yeah.
But that's the thing, like I said, there are so many words that are not or are on the card that play against it that it's just awkward.
Like at that point, if I'm gonna play like pay 6 for that effect with the damaged part on it, I'd much rather shift the Cheshire Cat from set 2 and have him straight up banish the characters.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
an inkable.
Oh yeah.
I just
Oh yeah,
And it's inkable.
and we never and we basically never done that, like even set 2.
Oh no, because
So,
there wasn't any damaged characters to banish like reliably. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna change with that.
I feel like it's crazy how many bad like uninkable cards Emerald is getting. I just take a quick look and they have 7 legendary that are uninkable, so it's half of them. And it's only Hamber that has 7 uninkable legendaries. And I think in all of them there's only Diablo that's worth the uninkability. Like the other one could have been inkable and would have been fine. Like the Hercules and this one and the Beast, like they're all pretty bad and on top of that they're uninkable, so yeah, green
Don't
is
talk
not
to me about the Hercules. It's like the card I think is the legendary I opened the most for last set.
so many bad uninkable.
Baby
Even
Herc.
if they were inkable, they would be bad anyway. So it's so sad.
I wonder if there's like certain devs that are into certain colors and they're like
Yeah.
their goal is to make like legendary of that color every set and he's looking to get fired.
actually, what he wants, he would have loved working on another color, but he stuck with green. So now he just makes one bad green legendary per set just to make sure that like green is not gonna get there.
Just you wait till the Candio is tasked with the designing Sapphire legendaries. We'll see what that looks like.
Well, it's gonna
Emerald,
be
you
in Amber and Steel, right?
No, that's the thing. They're gonna put him on Sapphire, so
okay.
that's he's
Emerald.
gonna sabotage it.
Okay, yeah.
You mean emerald, sir?
Why?
You said sapphire.
I meant Sapphire.
You want him to sabotage a fire?
Yeah.
I think the guys have something to say about it, especially Pierre Marc.
Yeah, that was
I
the
mean,
point.
DiCanio has played like Sapphire Steel for
Yeah, a lot,
good chunk
a lot.
amount. Yeah.
True. But no. Really happy
Anyway.
to have him on the team, though.
It's mostly Ruby that I think he would try to sabotage.
All right, then. New target. The card that scared everyone the day it was spoiled. Ink
Well,
Geyser.
scared is a big word. Like it's the most polarizing card I've seen in a while. My take on it is either it is one of the most oppressive cards printed as of yet, or it does jack nothing.
So
I'm
far,
using
It depends on the matchup, right?
Yeah.
Like I think this against aggro, you'll feel like a fool. You'll feel like you've just
But
dug
then-
yourself a hole in the ground, and you should just go back to kitchen table.
dug a hole. Is that a diggy hole?
Oh, no, well, maybe.
But that's the thing. Like I'm circling back to what I said like earlier with when we were talking about Lady. Like aggro decks have really struggled being like a mainstay of many meta games in Lorcana as of right now, and like this really hits a lot of archetypes pretty hard, especially if you build the deck. Like when it was printed, I remember like texting with Nick. We texted for like a good hour or so of like what can we like cram into this deck to make it the most egregious possible, like to be like kind of prisony and like not fun to play against. Really oppressive.
There's another card that's going in that shell. The main issue right now, because I've been trying to play around this idea of blue-green prison quite a bit, and Patrick was mentioning it. So much of green is uninkable. Like a lot of the tools you want, like you'd want your do it agains to be able to continue punishing them. You want potentially like because you want to match that with a lot of discard, and a lot of the discard stuff is uninkable or uninkable tied. So it's hard to navigate how to build something that's going to be good and still function with a reasonable number of uninkable there.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's quite polarizing. Either the card is really good and will probably define the meta, or it's just a thing that exists and no one plays it and no one talks about it.
It's going to be the bulk rare that someone pulls out on you at set championships and wins the set champ because no
It
one
doesn't do
prepared for it.
anything in sealed. What do you mean?
I said in set champs. Like
Okay.
the meta game's going to be there, and the random guy is going to arrive with his green blue discard thingy and just like, ha! I feel like a god.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like I think it's an archetype that could rise when people less expect it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it can be a mainstay because it's so easy to adapt that to that kind of deck.
It feels a bit like the mill decks in Magic. Like you're rarely going to see real big competitive, but sometimes when people don't expect it and you bring it, it's the right fit for that tournament.
It comes and goes, right?
Yeah.
This card is probably better in hidden deck list than open deck list also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, anyway, open deck list has not been like a mainstay as of now of Lorcana. Only like in top 32.
We don't even know if
in-
World's gonna be open deck list or not. So.
I really hope so for you guys, because if Worlds is closed deck list, like I'm gonna scream for you.
We'll see.
One that you put on there, Drew, the mechanic extraordinaire, the shift bell.
Yeah, I think well, first and foremost, I just love the Enchanted art, and I'm so mad that you haven't put the Enchanted art in here. But whatever, I'm gonna let that slide. I think it's really interesting. We talked about her like in previous video when they uncovered double inked cards, and I think it's like really interesting to see. She opens the possibility of another blue-red archetype. Not that blue-red needed like a third archetype, but what I mean is like it has a lot of relevant text. It's really cool as it stands. It's a big threat. The fact that she cost reduces on shift is enormous in my opinion. It works really well with another card that I think we all put on our top.
It's at the top of everyone's list, yes.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like I like the card, and like I said, would have loved to see the Enchanted art on it.
Because you're being picky about it.
Yeah,
go.
my issue with it is that we kind of don't want to put items at the bottom of our deck, and
Yeah.
it doesn't like it's pretty proactive, but in a deck where like your items are not reactive enough, right? So all your character needs to kind of do something reactive in order to make up for the fact that your items are tempo negative. So I'm not in love with it, but like maybe a new archetype can rise with it, but I doubt it.
Like I haven't tinkered. Thank you. That's much better, much better. Yeah, no, but what I was saying is like I haven't tinkered with it. Like there's probably a build that makes the most of this card that is probably competitive adjacent. Like I said, I haven't like deck built with the set as of yet. I'm just waiting for it to release to actually see what excites me. Like I have my sights on like green steel as of now. Like you guys have seen my top 10. You know what card is at the top of it. So anyway, we're gonna talk about this later on. But yeah, I dig this card. I think it's neat.
All right. I mean, it's a good looking card if nothing else. I'll have something about the Enchanted's overall for this set a bit later, but for now, I think the card everyone was waiting for, the most requested Enchanted that we didn't
Character.
get, and character, yeah. Mushu finally gets a card.
I think everybody has.
Yeah, we all put
had it
Mushu
from-
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to start talking about it because like this is like probably deck number 2 I want to test with after Green Steel. Like there is, I think, a shell of like red steel challenge matters like mid range thick guys. I want to say like this with the Robin Hood, let's say, because like this is a 5-drop and like you can just shift your Robin and then eventually come out to play this and like your Robin and your Calhouns and whatnot are so lore positive with its effect and also like with both its effect, it's kind of stupid.
I'm genuinely sad that they didn't put the new Gizmo deck in those color, which is it's a green steel that can challenge ready characters. Like
They've been
it's
very
all
strong.
it does.
And it's a foil.
Damage really.
Oh, is it damage ready character?
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
because
you
it's
can
green.
read it is.
Of course,
green.
it's damage ready character.
But actually like there's also the new shift Mulan that's a
Yeah.
red steel card that's kind of neat. There's like a Li Shang.
I was about to say
it-
Mulan, Mushu, and Li Shang, like all the Mulan package
Mulan.
for this.
Even
color.
the unequal, the deny, right? That's reckless and resist. I think like all the ruby steel cards
Yeah.
are good for the archetype.
Yeah.
Yeah, this to me feels like the lady before in the sense that I think it's a S tier card in a B tier deck. Maybe this whole like red steel dual card would put the red steel deck to A tier, but I don't know. It's like it's quite easy to play around with like blue red or be prepared.
The problem is blue red.
Yeah.
Like I think if blue red is not in the meta, this could be very good. I think it doesn't have much. Like it basically doesn't have any text versus red ruby sapphire.
But who
Yeah,
knows?
'cause-
Maybe Ruby Sapphire will meet its match. Probably not.
And if you play the Monopoly game with the Manor, like this doesn't do lore and challenging location,
Yeah.
so really it doesn't do anything against blue red. So we'll see. But you can play the Hyphen M Flatten them in this deck if you want to increase your chance against blue red, maybe. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe a heavy items version. But also, I wanted to highlight that there's also things that can let you challenge ready characters,
Yep.
and a lot of them are heroes. Like not this one, but it works with
One last hope.
One last hope,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
with the Mulan, the Li Shang. Like
It
a
would
lot
it
of
would
these,
give like
you know,
resist 4 and can challenge. I don't know. No, is it resist 4 or challenge 2?
It's resist +2 on the One Last Hope as well. If I remember
Heroes.
correctly.
Is it heroes can challenge ready character or just anyone can
Yeah,
challenge ready?
it's
and
resist
the
+2 to
resist-
anyone, and heroes can challenge ready characters.
Yeah, but like most of the deck would be heroes. Like you have your Mulans, you could have like Maui, you
Robin
could have
Hood.
like Robin Hood. I don't think Calhoun is a hero.
I think she's
don't
an
remember.
ally. An ally.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Anyway.
check. But yeah, no, definitely nice. And before we go out of this shell, and we were talking a lot about the blue, I wanted to ask you guys, because I've been wondering and playing with that question in my head. Do you see Benja coming back this set with a lot of focus on items and
For sure.
items returns and like
Yeah.
all the item management? I was like, I think it's time to put Benja back in my steel decks.
Yep.
I'm planning to put it back
Probably.
on purple steel. Even green
Yeah.
steel could play it and bounce it with Muse to banish another item if it's needed. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a cool clock at that price point. I mean, at
Yeah.
3 as a 3-drop. So I think it's like free real estate at this point.
And if someone wants to play the Koi on turn 2 instead of ramping, then it's perfect curve for you on the play
Yeah.
and almost perfect on the draw.
You just demolish
Yeah.
them at that point.
So Ratigan, Nefarious Criminal, I know Drew, you and I have been toying for end of set. I know Patrick, you toyed with it a little bit as well with the Shark McDuck or McShark archetype, the one where you want to do a little bit of what Filesley and Kevin did. Yeah, the Continentals, or what DKP did in Melbourne. And I was looking at the cards that could go in that deck. The two that stood out was Ratigan and the Beagle Boys. Beagle Boys to give rush to the Maui Shark when he comes out. Ratigan to just do more of the Maui effect of just singing How Far I'll Go turn 4, gaining the lore immediately. All of that. I'm not sure yet it's going to go there.
Well, it does go really quick with that card. The problem is it's kind of fragile.
It is.
Like the thing is, do you value the one lore you're gonna gain off the singing of How Far I'll Go with this guy, or do you value the card you're getting off of Grammatala?
Yeah.
The answer is always the card.
It's always the card with Tala, yes.
Unless the lore gives you the win, but that's so late in the game that, yeah, it's the card.
Yeah,
We're not talking about turn 4 then,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so like I put it there because I think it's the only card that this deck is getting, but even then, I'm not like 100%.
It only needed to remove the is exerted, and then it would have been great,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's too slow with the exerted condition there that the shark doesn't have, so who knows why. Two legendaries, but one is clearly much better than the other.
The shark costs 6, it's balanced.
Yeah, when you rent.
Oh yeah, it's not a 7/5 invasive.
By the way,
With
we
other
didn't put
decks.
it there, but if someone was to play Baloo, then Maui doesn't get damage when challenging.
I mean, it's already big enough. Like, why?
To dodge Zeus, I guess.
Which Balu?
The legendary from this set that says
Oh, right,
characters
right.
with 7 power don't take damage.
Oh yeah. I remember. That's one of the other like not great legendaries of the set.
I mean, it goes. They've tried to push Ruby Steel Power Man, like Strength Matters, for a while. I think, like, legitimately the only good card that goes with is Maui Shark.
They want no. They want us to play the Hercules 7/3 Rush Reckless. They want us to play the 10/6 Gaston. That's what they want us to do
for
with
a day.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you play the 6-drop Maximus to do a lot of lore with the strength, like the expensive.
That's exactly what
Rider.
they're going for when they're printing Baloo. Like, they're not printing it for a competitive.
The good news is it's probably gonna find its way to the $2-3 bin, and I'm gonna be able to put it in my $20 decks for the
Inkling Adventures.
for Inkling Adventures. So it's a win either way for me. This one though has a lot more people talking.
Going from a bad legendary to a good one?
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, I'll let our blue expert analyze this one.
Yeah, you guys tell me about it.
So at first I thought that it would be worse than Tala, but I have come around to it. The reason why is that the 4/4 matters so much against daisies and cobras and locations and a lot of the 3/3s as well. So this can challenge like a real threat. Like, this on turn 3 is like king of the board, right? As much as a cobra can be. And then certain decks, if you build around it, can play this for free sometimes. So that means that the tempo that you're losing for playing slow cards such as Workshop or Quill is a little bit mitigated by the fact that you can still play to the board, right, with this. So obviously it means that you need to play a heavy item list in order to make use of both of its ability, right? Because the second one is an Ariel for item, and we know that we at least need to run at least 16 songs to play Ariel, so that's something like closer to this. But of course, if you are able to play this for free, that means that you don't have as many left in the deck, right? So you kind of need like closer to 20. And so I don't think this card is insane, but I think it's just enough better than Tala in those item heavy lists that it will see play.
it definitely has potential. Like we were talking about, like the old list from chapter 4 that were running, like the Queen Diviner and whatnot, like which is a card that might still find its way into this, even though it's also quite slow uh, as a card. Like it's really good with other cards that they printed, especially in this set, like the one drop bell, even the one that I really like, the dual colored bell. Like it works really well in that particular archetype.
Yeah, I think this is a very good card for blue steel, but for blue red, I'm not sure yet because you need to put a lot of items for it to work. Like if you miss with this, it's so much worse than like IRM or Grammatella. But the stats are good, but I think you want a consistent draw, so you need to put more items, and then this card gets better. But does your deck overall gets better? I'm not sure yet. But in blue steel, I could see this being played for free really often. So especially if you just go whole new world and you draw this and you have a bunch of popsicle 40 spheres. So it has a lot of potential, but I'm
Yeah,
scared
but
to
how many
miss with
free
it.
cards can you put in your deck, Patrick? That's the question with the upcoming card of Bell,
Yeah,
Apprentice Inventor. I
this
think
one on the
that's going to
other end.
be everyone's either top 1 or 2 for the set, the same way that Sale was last set.
Yeah.
Once again, glad to see it at common.
This makes my deck building harder because for blue steel it's a no-brainer for me. You need to play 4, but then I was trying to do like blue red or blue green, and I'm like, oh, should I play like the item version of blue green just to play that card and have better chance against aggro deck, and maybe sing one jump on turn 2 and double ram on turn 2. Like there's some crazy stuff you can do, but you need items, so it's a choice you're gonna need to make for the most deck that are blue outside of blue steel, which I think is a no-brainer. So yeah, cool card, very strong. It's, I mean, since the beginning of set 2, like there's the one drop Cinderella that sings 3 that has been around like since it started in set 2, and it's still played because it's one of the best one drop in the world. So if this gets played in turn 1 and you have like those good 3 cost song like the steel one, it's just a better Cinderella, and basically the blue steel is the new steel song. You can also protect it with like Cogsworth and stuff. So yeah, this is a very strong card.
Yeah, obviously, like it's funny because it's in the starter deck, and I think I mean I might be completely like in the wrong direction for this, but like they've put like a 3/3 vanish for 2 in the opposing starter deck, and I just feel like we kind of need to give blue a 3/3 as well, and they didn't think about the implications of how this card is gonna define the meta for like sets to come, right? Because this basically reads that Flynn Frenemy is dead. Aggro cannot live, like if it's not exactly Daisy or Genie, right? Like forget about Lilos and Maleficence from set 1. Like these cards are dead. They were already not very much alive, but like forget about it. Like if you can play a 3/3 on turn 1, all these aggro cards are just like so bad, so bad. So I think it's gonna change the whole way that we need to think about building our decks and the implications of the fact that these cards are not viable anymore, even if they were remotely viable.
Yeah, this will definitely be a meta shifter in itself. Just as you said, like it's it's a way bigger Cinderella, and yeah, I'm curious to see. I know Pat, you're not super hyped about the possibility to shift the hidden archer
Mhm.
onto her in blue green, but that's still the first real target that Bell Hidden Archer has.
Yeah.
And a third 3, what was she? A
Another
3/3 that quests
uninkable.
for 2. Yeah, it's another
It's
uninkable in
green,
green.
of
I
course. It's
know
uninkable.
it's uninkable. It's a green legendary. What are you expecting?
Yeah.
But it's
Has
still
to be.
pressure. Like not easily removed. Although we're gonna talk about the coil in a second, so I won't say
Yeah,
not
and there's
easily
another
removed too
card we
fast.
haven't talked about yet that just goes with this so well. I
Yeah.
mean, the stats are so great. The cost is great because of the singer characteristics. So yeah, this one is busted.
Hopefully, somewhat easy to get in a full foil. or
It's a common.
to
So
place it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, common foils are
if this
never
was a
expensive.
legendary, it could have break some records of highest price, but we'll see.
Speaking of expensive legendaries,
There it is.
this is my top one.
Yep.
Shocker.
Yeah. So this is like cheaper than set one tomato. It does its ability twice on play, which means that it doesn't need to survive for it to get you the 2 cards value. And then I think where really the power line where really the power is the fact that you can gain tempo out of just questing. And so you can play this to retrieve card like popsicles and vitality spheres, right? In order to keep drawing, right? Activate your Hirems or your workshop or whatever that is. And then on the following turn, you can react to whatever your opponent is doing with like a removal spell or whatever, and quest with this, play dime for free. And so you're both having the ink in order to deal with what your opponents are doing and still advancing your lore generation and win condition. And so it really is for me the second. Of course, the first part is very, 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 very good, but like if it was not for the second part, it would be just like, okay, it's just like a 4/5 draw 2. Like that's pretty good, but it's a little bit of condition to it. But for me, the second aspect unlocks some of the deck building aspects to it that are very, very, very powerful and that are not too easy to see at first sight. Like how it has implications on how you play your lines, because it's actually a really skill-extensive card, because now you can quest before drawing in order to play items that will make you do some things, right? So like with the coil that we're gonna talk about, right? Like you quest with it, you play the coil for free, and then you ink or you draw and you double ink, right? And so you have a lot of different play patterns that will emerge from this and that we're not used to, basically. And in general, that's just a fantastic, very good rate, inkable card, quest for 2, good stat line. It just has everything. This card is exactly the way I felt Shark was last set. Was like it just checks all the boxes.
And contrarily to Shark, because of course it didn't put it in the right place, but this one's gonna have the super fancy, expensive treatment of the
It's so great.
probably the second highest priced Enchanted past Elsa, if I had to guess.
So I've told my friends, I was like, oh, I'm just $1,000 down on my bank account.
Yeah.
I really want it. So Beatrice Blue is actually an illustrator of kids' books that I read to my kid. And I really, really love her books.
Oh, wow.
And she really nailed it on the art. It's her first card that she does for Lorcana too.
It's got to be one of the coolest
I hope it's
looking
not the last
Enchanteds
one.
we've had.
She actually did the second one that was revealed after it, which is
Okay.
Bolt,
Oh yeah.
which is not as
Yeah.
beautiful. But yeah.
I mean, her name is Beatrice Blue. She needs to make blue card, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, this legendary is to me by far the best one of the whole set. It's just crazy. The fact that it has 2 feature kind of reminds me, like Sarah mentioned, the shark that has 2 feature are both pretty strong. But I like that this has different timing for the feature. So basically, you play it, you have value, and then if it survives, you have more value. So this becomes like a must banish target, just like the steel base. But then steel base, if you banish it, the turn it's played did nothing. And this one, if you Zeus it, then you still already draw 2 cards, so it's not that bad. And I could see some deck trying to protect it a bit with maybe a Cogsworth or the Alice, and then there's just no way you can banish this if it's Ward, and then the dime is coming next turn. So this is a crazy card. Like you're gonna need to build around it, but the deck playing this card can also build around the counter. So it's gonna be a very interesting deck building meta for the blue decks. That got
Plus,
so
you're
much
saying
love.
draw
Yeah.
2, like, if it's popsicles with Hirems, it's really draw 6.
Yeah, it's delayed draw
Yeah.
assist, but it instant draw too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
And not
already
instant.
hear.
You still need to commit the ink, but yeah. And so I have been playing that card on 7 ink a lot, right? Just to get like one of the popsicles right away, and then pop it with Hiram. Yeah. It's been
And,
pretty good.
and also following what you said with like playing this in a deck with Alice and Cogsworth generally means you're playing steel also. And
Yeah, it's
I
more
know
like
a bunch of I know a bunch of blue steel players that are like in a some kind of cabal. Like they're only swearing by blue steel. They're just like
yeah.
blue steel is the way. Blue steel is love. Blue steel is the truth. Like.
Like I think we can all agree that for 6-6, blue red was pretty dominant and blue steel was not as quite as good. But
Yeah.
right now this set they give blue such strong card, but they are all a bit stronger in blue steel. So maybe that's gonna
Yeah.
even out so that both deck can be competitive together because they can both play the same card, but it's always a little bit better in blue steel. So it's gonna be interesting.
Possibly,
Just
yeah.
because
I
of those
agree.
40 sphere.
Yeah. And I think one of the weakness of blue steel is like daisies and genies, and if they're suppressed by like the power of coil and sisus, man, that opens up them to not worry about that anymore.
Now, somehow your honorable mention, Drew, is Lady Cluck.
I told you that I know a lot of blue steel players, and
Yes.
I had to poke some fun at their cabal of dogmatic. No, I'm just kidding. Like this is just Chempo on crack, and it's not especially very good. And even the blue steel players were like, "Oh, we would have liked this to have more power, so it doesn't die to Sisu and stuff like that." And I'm just like, come on, guys! Not every one of your cards have to be busted, especially when it's two color. But whatever. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
like it was more of an inside joke
Yeah,
than
fun wink.
anything.
It's funny because it for me it is a shampoo that I was able to coil once, but I can still not brawl, right? Like
Yeah.
because it's ward, but it can
Yeah.
still be big C suit, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was talking earlier. This one's one of mine. Like, if there is ever a prison deck, and I was saying there's way too much uninkable, but this makes like the blue-green prison feel so miserable. Not only do you make them discard, not only do you prevent them getting hinked, but on top of that, you're looking at the top four of their deck, putting the three
And
best
locking
at the
them out.
bottom, and leaving them with Tipo on top, or whatever useless card in the mid to late game you want to put there, and just having them feel miserable about their day. Or you're looking at your top four and leaving the best card there. So I like the design, but yeah, if ever blue-green prison becomes a thing, this is going to be the bane of a lot of players.
Yeah, the problem with prison as opposed to magic is that we don't have lands, right?
Yeah.
So all our cards are like fairly reasonable to draw. Like whereas in magic you put lands on top and then they're
Yeah.
locked out of the game, right? So that's a big difference.
Yeah,
But even then, like if you put the right useless card, especially if you can manage to have them at 3 ink most of the time, and you put their like Clarabelle 7-drop on top, or their like Maui Shark or whatever, it's
I can see it.
yeah. When I saw that
Like
card
with-
with the announce of the shift hey hey, I just wanted to try a meme deck where you play this to put the whole new world on top, and then you shift hey hey to remove your whole hand and have like a bunch of ink and no cards, and then you top deck that precious whole new world and sing it with hey hey. That's the meme deck for this card.
That's funny.
that would actually be pretty funny.
Because that's on the I think the only way to like really put the card on top. Because the other blue card you draw it, so it doesn't work with hey hey.
Yeah.
Hey hey needs to stay on the top, otherwise you're gonna lose it. So this is the way.
Yeah.
Maybe someone will make it work.
And yeah, that's the other thing. Like, it's like with Ink Geyser and whatnot. If like you said, the prison deck works. Like manipulating the top deck of your opponent is quite strong. Like you don't have to just give them like something irrelevant, like something like that doesn't do anything. You can just give them big stuff after an Ink Geyser, and they just like are locked out of playing it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So now I doubt this is going to be useful, but this has, to me, the potential to be annoying further down the line. But it's still a design I was happy to see them try, especially for 1 ink. And now, talking to the ice block guy, they made an inkable ice block that's even better.
Yeah, so it's different. It costs twice as much, but it does more than twice as much as well. Because, of course, it's in blue, so you can ink multiple times in a turn, and it will activate multiple times in a turn, right? And if you have two, you can, like, if you have two, you ink twice, you give -8 across different multiple bodies, right? Yeah,
And
it's
of course, they had to,
pretty powerful.
like, they had to not put the restriction of once per turn on that one that they put on some of the other ones, because
Yeah.
it's blue, it's fine.
And it's not uninkable like some of the other worst cores,
Yeah.
so I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah. So I think the inkability is like really what makes this stood out, because the problem we had with Ice Block is that we couldn't put all the Medusas and small Sisus and big Sisus that we would like to put, because it was uninkable, right? It was forcing us to have too many of them. But now that we don't have to put Ice Block, we can just put this instead. It makes it so that we can run more of them. And of course, that is better versus the aggro decks, because the Sisus were always very good against aggressive decks. But that plus Bell means that I really wouldn't want to be playing aggro going forward. And that kind of mean that like maybe those cards won't even be good if everybody's not playing aggro. They're more playing like a prison deck or control decks, right? But it still can take out like Shark with a single Medusa and 2 ink, right? Like you quill 2 times Medusa, bam, Shark is down. So it's pretty egregious what this card can do. And I have also been playing a lot with the set 1 Gaston. That is a 4/2/4/2 Reckless. And Gaston on 2 and this on 3 is just such a menace versus the steel decks, because they really need to put a singer and take out the Gaston, because the Gaston's just going to take out something every turn and survive. So it survives the Smee, right? And so if they play Smee and you play this, then suddenly they're like, oh, should I quest? Right? Or should I hardcast a removal? Like, what should I do, right? It's pretty miserable. So I like Gaston with this a lot. And that's kind of like where you need to approach that card, because as people have said, it really doesn't fit all that well into the curve of Ruby
Yeah.
Sapphire for now, right?
That's
Because
what the naysayer have been
That
saying.
was my biggest like question when I read the card first. I was like, how do you slot that in with the Sail the Azurite Sea, the T-pose? Like the 2-drop
It's
is
not
already
a 2-drop.
No,
It's not
exactly.
a 2-drop.
I mean, it can, right? Like, if you have like small Sisu, right, and you want to take out basically anything that it can play on turn 3, right? Because
Sure.
the small Sisu is going to be able to do that. But most of the scenarios, I don't think it is, because a lot of the things that you would want to take out on the first few turns still probably is already like able to be targeted with brawls and small Sisus. So I think where this shines is also like on 5 ink. After having played the Hiram or something like that, you can play this ink and then Sisu or brawl, and basically your brawl can take is basically a Dragon Fire, and then you can retrieve the card back if you need to with Hiram, draw 2, and then yeah, you've drawn 2 and play the Dragon Fire.
Yeah.
So you're really telling us that you blue players are eating good now.
Oh yeah, for sure. This card is pretty absurd. I really think that it could have said like once per turn, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
But it
But
made
now
it more
I
balanced.
can see how far it goes and quill, and like I shoot out everything I want, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit ridiculous.
This is the reason why I think we might see decks with a lot of item hate or ward character,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's gonna be a necessity. And it's funny because the Tamatoa and the Bell are pretty good in blue red and blue steel, but this one is not that good in blue steel, but it's pretty good, I think, in blue green, where you can under the sea very fast in a lot of
or
characters. So
or
yeah,
Cloud
yeah,
Kicker,
and especially
Muses.
in blue green, you want the ink faster even than the blue red because you play the Clarabelle. So if you go crazy with the quills, you enter your end, you play Clarabelle, and you have a lot of cards, and you can just ink so fast with the quill. So this gets a lot of value. Sing the under the sea with maybe the Baymax, and then if you play the Ink Geyser, you can start inking again. Because I think the only bad part of this card is that in the late game you might not want to ink because you have solo
Yep.
resources. But if you play blue green and just ink Geyser and start inking again, you can trigger this more and you ink faster than your opponent. So you can remove that bad part of the card, which is very small anyway. But yeah, this is probably even stronger in blue green for that kind of reason. With the Muse also, yeah, it's
Yeah, and you were so Muses, then Kit, like this plus Kit also is a nice curve. Um, One thing I want to say about like it needs to put cards into your recoil. So you're right. Like against, let's say, discard, this is probably worse than Ice Block because a lot of the time you're like top decking, and you need to be able to take out like Beast or Smeeze and stuff like that with your big Sisu. And if you need to have keep an ink in order to, if you draw the big Sisu, right, like you expose yourself to this card. So I think it's a little bit worse. But in every other matchup, I think you just need to think about your hand management a little bit differently. Like you draw a Tipo, if you don't need to ink it that turn, you just keep it so that you can get uses out of your coil on the future turns. And I think that's like one of the mistakes that people make the most when playing like these big Sapphire control decks is that they're just like, oh, I need to keep on inking, and sometimes they ink the cards that they should keep a little bit longer. And so that kind of incentivize you good inking decision, like on like consider every card in your hand as a potential resource, other than being just like always sent to ink because it doesn't do anything right now.
But having 20 ink per turn is so good.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. We're coming down to the last cards. I think this is actually the last one we have here. Bagheera, the Guardian Jaguar.
yeah.
With
We have another one after
oh,
this.
we have another
Yeah,
one.
we're
Of
not
this,
in
right?
the order because the three blue cards should probably be in top three. But yeah, I had this
Oh, no, they're
one.
not in order. They're in
Okay.
numerical order
Ah,
from
that's
the
why.
set.
Okay, cool. So
With
yeah,
the controversy on Bagheera. I don't know if you guys have heard the big controversy.
yeah,
It's not a Jaguar, it's a Panther.
Well, Panther
Oh,
is both Jaguars and what's the other one? Jaguar
Leopards?
and
leopard.
leopards. And jaguars are only in America, and leopards are in Africa and Asia. And since Jungle Book it takes place in Asia, it should technically be a jaguar, not
A leopard?
a leopard, not a jaguar. Thank you. So yeah, technically not a jaguar
okay.
for you biology nerds out there.
That
Whatever.
means
Okay,
everything.
so now coming back to the
Exactly, to the
playing card
card.
games. So I love this card. I love this card to bits. When I said like, okay, this is not one of the I want to say broken steel legendaries, but it's so damn good. Like I feel it's really great. The rate is great. Like it's a 5-drop. It's sensibly statted as a 4/3. It's it has bodyguard, and just the fact that it kind of substitutes grab your sword on a body that might have quested, might have protected your board. Like it feels great. It does a lot for the rate, and I'm pretty sure like Steel Song is gonna try some amount of this at some point. Maybe I'm gonna try some of them in Green Steel. It's just a very good steel tool. I want to say as a supplement or grab your sword adjacent card.
Yeah,
Yeah, my issue with it is that you don't control that, right? Like it's only on your opponent's turn. So you kind of need to be aggressive. If not, they have no incentive for you to challenge this, right? Like,
Well,
and where I would like this is that it can one shot Maui's, both Sharks and Hero Duel. if it was not for Coil.
Yeah.
Sure enough. But like that's also why I like the questing for two on this. Like it would
Yes.
like it. You can get aggressive with it and just like quest aggressively, and at some point they have to ram something into it
Yep.
at the cost of their board or of most of their board or whatever the situation is.
That's what I call the steel on steel violence. This card is just like very good against other steel decks.
It's like the
Hot steel
Tinkerbell
on steel
setting.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like it because I know I've been using some Chinpo here and there in Blue Steel or Ember Steel, and I feel like this one has better matchup and some other worse matchup. Like obviously, it's not as good for Rapunzel because you're not gonna get anything really from this. So, but it's more aggressive. It has two lore. Not survive, but it does banish the Mauis that comes into it where Chinpo didn't. So. I feel like in a more aggressive Blue Steel or Ember Steel, this is much better than Chinpo. And unfortunately, you don't control the effect, and they can trade their 2 HP character first, so that not much stuff dies from the effect. But still, it kind of forces them into bad trades sometimes, and maybe trading two small
Yes.
characters. So it should get its value. It might be one of those bodyguard that, like those rare cases where you want to play them upright and ready, so you have a two lore quest next
I
turn.
agree.
Unless you have a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of daisies and other stuff on the board to protect, like this might be one of those bodyguard that comes into play ready.
I see it
For
a little
sure.
bit. I see it a little bit like the Simba from last set that was readying your characters, except this one is inkable, so you might actually want to play it.
Yeah,
So
well, for having registered Simba at the Continentals, like this is why this card really excites me. It's just like a better version of that.
yeah, because like if what you want to do is protect your board from challenges, you can put her down, and at least it's a roadblock. It's a
Yeah.
stop. It's going to deal damage to their board that then you can.
Yeah.
You're in steel, so you can ping it away afterwards.
Yeah, the 5-drop
Yeah.
symbol you need to shift, otherwise it's not proactive really, it's too slow
Yeah.
for protection. This one can protect the turn it's played, so
Yeah.
And you can hit it early game, so
survives the Maui, that's the key part here.
Yeah.
And not survive, but banish the Maui.
that
That
is
survives,
yeah,
but
trades.
at least trades into it.
Yeah.
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 Oh right, and finally the gun too,
Yeah.
the oppressor.
Yeah, the people are really excited by this, like this with the Pete we were talking
This
about.
song is not excited.
No,
Nope.
still song players want to know your location to beat up on you if they can. So yeah, that card. I think that card is also a great hate piece. Like this is kind of like the mixed steel bag. Like your best hate cards for steel are often other steel cards.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so weird. So I want to say, but that's also what I like about the color. It's like so versatile that it gives you like that wide plethora of cards and like of effects. I really dig what they did with the Gantu for like I know I'm gonna face a lot of this and like knock on the table angrily, but you know
I mean, if you're able to put down like a tapped Pete and that, you've basically shut down most actions in the game.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty egregious. Also, I think like what hurts, of course, is like the stat line is horrendous and it only quests for one.
Yeah.
And so usually you would want to play this in a semi-aggressive, like mid-range, but kind of wants to quest, right? And so I think it's also an inkable. But at least it has like a wide range of decks it's gonna disrupt, right? Because they have added both actions and items as its clause. So it stops songs for a turn, and then it doesn't stop any songs, but it stops actions and it doesn't stop, but it slows actions and items.
Yeah. And I mean, a popsicle for 3 is definitely not the
Not
best
good
rate.
anymore.
No, it's not as good, right?
You're gonna get
But,
Seasood
like,
or Brawl before Popsicle.
that's the issue really with it, is that like you have like a coil again, and then you just small sisu it and then play popsicle, and like, well, I just play the 4 costs do nothing.
Small Sisu is gonna be much better this set because this, if you brawl, it costs 5 and it's really bad to brawl for 5. So Small Sisu, it's much better against this card. But I do like that both abilities are static and works the turn you play it. You can go Pete on
Yes.
3 and then this on 4, and then maybe you play Bagheera on 5 to protect the Kentu and still quest with it. The only bad part of this card is that it impacts both players, so it kind of needs you to do
You
more
need to build
deck
around it.
building challenges.
Yeah, you're not gonna play that in Steel Song ever.
You can sing them
I mean, I don't.
anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts too much, right? Because like you sing the song before playing this, and then you play this. They cannot answer back with songs, and then
You can still sing your songs.
you can still sing your
Yeah.
songs, right? It doesn't cost you 2 more. So as long as you're not playing actions and items, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to be more of a deck that doesn't play into those strategies to get the most of your Gantu, but you might be right.
The funny part is that if you play against another Gantu, then you cannot sing and your stuff costs way too more. But one thing
Again, right? Steel
Yeah.
on steel violets.
one thing I want to try with this one, I'm obviously not a Mufasa player, but I see this card in a Mufasa steel deck. It can be crazy because usually what the opponent does is that they banish Mufasa first, then maybe do a B prep or something that boards wide. But then if this comes out, like it just messed their whole plan. So just being against a Mufasa that has this card in the deck is so scary.
like
the
it.
ordering
like
becomes
it.
complex, and obviously in Mufasa you don't really have action or items, so there's no bad part of the card. And if it comes out of on a Mufasa, it can really mess the opponent's turn. So this is
Just to make it clear, you're talking about the Ember Mufasa that flips,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
about the
Mufasa.
blue Mufasa.
Yeah,
that-
yeah,
but-
Ember Mufasa,
yeah.
the Casino Mufasa.
Yes, Casino Mufasa. Because at first I was like,
Roulette.
Because
why
I'm
would
like,
you
this
play
card
that
is
in blue
super
steel?
good, but it has like a bad part. And if you play Mufasa, no item, no action, there's no bad part. And
Yeah.
if it comes during the opponent's turn, it just mess them up. So
All
much.
upsides, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then that leaves us with our little team
Actually,
for the Enchanted. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I'm quite surprised that this card wasn't in the regular setup. It was my number 1 card on my list.
Did I not put it? Well, it's there. Return of Hercules. Sorry, my bad.
I'll plan. Yeah. So actually, like I've seen so many people doing like show and tell puns about it. Show and tell from Magic. Even S4iler did that on X. That's why I want to wink at it. So yeah, it's we have show and tell now, and I'm really excited about it. Like I cannot stress enough how much I'm like I put it as number 1 on my list. People think it's not going to be good enough and whatnot. Probably not going to be like meta breaking as of yet. But I've already found like play patterns where you can where you can have a lot of fun with it. Like I was saying, if you played in I was saying I want to try my kind of deck, the green steel damage based big guys mid range.
Oh yeah, you want to do that thing.
I want to play a BOGO on turn number 4. Play this. Drop a Prince Philip. They drop their whatever thing on the other side that is not a Maleficent dragon. I ping everything on the other
Cogsworth, right?
side, and
Well, you know
oh
that
no,
you know that the way the rules work, because I looked it up, they will probably just say, "Okay, I put nothing," because you have to reveal and play your character first, as the
You
player who
reveal
plays
first,
it.
but you don't do the effect first. You need
No, exactly, but you reveal. So
Yeah.
I mean, you could
They
play
know you're
Maleficent
gonna
just
wipe
to
the
get
board.
its effect as a Dragon
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah,
but
Maleficent
you wouldn't-
would work.
The body would die from
or a
cheap
card that
BOGO.
draws. But yeah, if you
But,
see
like
the Prince
they're not
Philip,
gonna put down a Tamatoa if
yeah, no.
No.
yeah. But that's the thing. Like I'm really excited about this card, and I'm kind of bummed that this one is probably the weakest Enchanted. Like I understand it's an action. They didn't want to like we were talking about
Oh,
this.
the
in
weakest
pre-
in terms of look.
Yeah. That, when I say weakest, I mean like art wise. I just think like the regular card looks better, in my opinion.
All right. Well, more money on your pocket, man.
I'm still
he's
gonna
still
buy
gonna
one,
buy
you
it.
know?
Yeah,
Because
okay.
You
the
don't know
story
me
is not
well
as good.
enough.
Yeah, I think it has potential for the future, right? If we ever get like a really big on play, big fatty that we currently pretty much don't have outside of Maleficent, I could see this being played, right? But as for now, it's basically like a -2 ink on most of the character, like maybe -1, -2, and then you're giving 5 ink to your opponent. That's really not 5, but like whatever, right? On average, what they have in hand that they haven't played yet.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Emerald can discard their hand, so maybe they don't have anything good
I was about to
anymore.
say, if it's anything
And
like show and tell, you'll play it when you're sure they don't have anything.
you play the small Diablo first and see, oh, you
Sure.
don't have anything good. Let's play
Either
Hurricanes.
that, or you have a platinum angel, right? Like, or something like very powerful,
Yeah.
but we don't have that. It's basically.
I feel like
what
this
I'm
is
coming
obviously good with Dragon, but green red is not that great. So I was looking through the cards, what can pop. Like Phillips is good if you have the Chief Bogo,
Bogo.
but I was looking for a war character so that the dragon does nothing, and there's only really the 9-drop Robin Hood at 6/6 war that could be nice, but it's uninkable like all the cool green cards.
Of
So
course.
I don't think it's gonna be good. The one thing also to consider is that Emerald can reduce action price, so maybe if you can do this earlier, it can have better impact.
Oh, with Yago.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Yeah.
of
Could
cards that
Play a
reduce.
turn 3 Yago, turn 4 this. Nah.
The faster you can play this, maybe the best it is because you skipping 5 ing in your turn 5. It's
To be fair, the options, like I've looked into this, and like the options of big stuff to drop with this are not
good
like
enough.
infinite. Like they're not infinite. You
No.
have like maybe one or two exciting things to do per color
Yeah.
with it, and that's
And you need to
about
be
it.
sure that these cards can still be played in a normal flow of the game. Like you cannot just put a bunch of unplayable cards. Like you need, like at least Prince Flip you can shift it. So if you have other Prince Flip, you might be able
And
to
ink
play
it.
Yeah, and ink it. But for the Robin, it's like, oh, you're gonna be stuck with it a lot of the time.
Big Tamatoa turn 4, guys.
We have
I mean, we can already do that with like
and it's only one
good
side.
ink.
And if we think about the meta being mostly blue,
No, not turn 4.
they're gonna
but turn
drop their
5.
Tamatoa. So unless you play a Maleficent Dragon, it's hard.
Yeah. Well, I don't see people putting in Maleficent Dragon just in case.
Yeah, I don't think so.
wanted
I
this
mean,
to be a
I
song.
even think like Maleficent might not be see too much play in this set because of how powerful the coil is. Basically, your Medusas and little Sisus are already Maleficents, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. Like people, like I feel people have started to look away from Maleficent even for like regular blue red. So like or going down, not like I actually just making away with it. But still, like I don't think like they'll be at an all-time high just in case your
In
opponent
case
is
your
playing show and
opponent's
tell.
getting the Return of
Return of
Hercules.
Hercules. Yeah.
That would be quite the meta call.
Yeah, and you probably want to have smaller character next to like you using this action so that you're safe from Lady Tremaine and potentially Mother God also. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, where I wanted to go, and this one was probably, as you said, Drew, the worst. The art on those enchanted card this set, I think they've really outdone themselves. We talked about
That Donald,
yeah.
even though I don't believe in that Donald all that much, I think it's gonna be quite pricey just because it's one of the classic Disney characters like Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse and whatnot, and there's always like Mickey tax on those
and
things.
he looks a lot like the Kingdom Hearts Donald. Like
Oh, yeah.
they're really close from the Kingdom Hearts Donald with this, so
It's pretty. It's very pretty.
it is.
I find it funny that it kind of mess around with all the lore tracker that they've been giving in leagues. That stuff at Square.
Yeah, they need to have one with Donald, and then you come at a DLC and you end it to your opponent. You're like, take this one, you're gonna need it.
You're gonna need this.
I don't remember, Pierre Marc, if it's you or one of our other viewers who mentioned on the last stream, like, why does your lore counter only go up to 20? Now
It was
Yeah.
Steve.
it was Steve. Yeah, now it needs to go up to 25. Like,
Good lord, this is not +5 lore and you can stack it. It would have been crazy, but yeah.
yeah.
It's a weird card. Probably a bit playable in Blurple, but that's it.
Yeah, no, it was really more to showcase that the art has been, like,
Yeah,
really
phenomenal.
good. And to me, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but this might get collectors back into buying boxes, trying to chase those enchanted, bringing more legendaries, more playable cards into the market, which is, I think, the best win-win for everyone. Like you get
Yeah.
good cards for the players, you get valuable chase cards for the collectors. I feel they've done a really good job on this one. Like even the Devil's Eye Diamond, like it's a pretty much useless item with nothing on it, but the card is freaking gorgeous. Like
It really looks like a
It
collector
is.
card. The big
Yeah,
diamond you
like-
put in a safe.
Yeah.
with the owl in the background and everything, like you put that
It
on your
reminds
shelf.
me of
everyone's happy.
it reminds me of Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah, a little
from,
bit.
Magic the
Yeah.
Gathering,
LED.
right? Like the name, not the effect.
Something tells me there might be a nudge there too.
Yeah, they've been doing it, right? Like the Mickey Trumpeter from set 3, I
Elvish
think,
Piper.
was clearly an Elvish Piper
Yeah.
right, reference. And there's a few more, and I feel like this one might be.
Yeah, probably. Like they're also gorgeous, except of the Return of Hercules, which I'm not getting over because like I would have loved a beautiful one on this, but like
All right.
every one of them are just like sublime, and like you were saying, Nick, I think collectors were kind of more frisky ever since like set 3 and set 4 with buying boxes now that they're like so easily available. Like
Yep.
it's like set 1 and set 2 are still quite hard to come by. Set 2 it's like a mixed bag, I want to say, but like that's why everyone has been like going crazy for the Japanese boxes of
Set
of
1,
chapter 1
yeah.
also. Yeah. So we'll see what it does, but
What do you mean? I have a bunch of Japanese card.
I'm
nice
still
next to
waiting
my
on
bed.
mine, man.
I have to show you those I pulled the other day. You would be happy about them.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
The songs are really my favorite in the Japanese.
Yeah, I love them.
By the way, if anybody has a foil quill Japanese, I'm looking for one more.
when I open
Still
my
have one
boxes,
box
I'll
to
let you
open.
know.
All right.
I still have one box. I think we'll be opening it like next week or something. So on
Awesome.
on the live, so you can see if I pull it.
Awesome.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for joining us once again. Always great to have you around to talk about the new set. Before we see you guys at World, where can people find you if relevant? I know, Patrick, you don't have the biggest online presence unless that
Yeah.
changed recently.
I'm on Discord. People can
You're
find
on
me on
Discord?
the 20 Lore Pro, and yeah, it's maybe in the near future I can put more time in and stuff. But for now, it's just like low ground, trying stuff and trying to surprise people at World. So.
And S4iler, where can we find you online?
Yeah, they can find me on Twitter at Lorcana_S4iler with a 4 and an E, or on metafied.gg/@S4iler. And yeah, you can find me on Discord as well on all the Discord channels, and on my team channel, which is Maelstrom. We've changed organizations and name, and
By the
now
way,
we're called
congrats on that.
Maelstrom. Yeah, thank
Congrats
you.
on that. I've seen that the other day. I was kind of wondering about it. Then I read about it, and I was like,
Yep.
yeah, well, great for you guys. More power to you.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like what we went for. Like, wanted to have the management a little bit for us and by us, and so yeah, we had to change.
I didn't quite follow. Is it all still the same guys, like R&D? All the same guys?
Yep.
That's great. That's just great. More power to you guys again.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And just before the final goodbye, what's the first deck you guys are gonna try day one? Like, what are you?
Greed steel.
I think it's pretty obvious from the discussions we've had, but
Yeah.
just to
Ruby Sapphire.
yeah.
I'm probably going to be blue green. I feel like Ruby Sapphire is going to be tested by a lot of good players like S4iler, so I'm just gonna use their deck and tune it a bit. So I'm gonna tune something else and try to figure out if it works.
That's good. Yeah.
And I think I might be trying out Amethyst Steel. So Purple Steel is where I found a lot of my fun last set,
Yeah.
and there's a few cool cards to slot into it, so that's probably what I'll be doing.
I think it's a safe bet. It was already pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
I did enjoy
It's
it a
still
lot.
gonna be
so-
good.
It was the third most deck represented in world qualifiers, which
Yes.
is like something that we would not have seen come up, right? before set 6, right? Like it was from 0 to having
Hero to
4
hero.
people qualified for Worlds with it,
Yep.
Patrick
Yeah,
included.
the genie was a key part of this, and now with the Cobra
Oh, yeah.
and the 2-drop, I think it can do some crazy stuff. You just draw your deck and win. Until the Peter Pan becomes a meta, and you cannot do lore on your turn with your
The
go.
Peter Pan meta.
Yeah, until you challenge.
It's amazing if you give it.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thanks to our viewers as well. Let us know in the comments what cards excites you the most. And we'll see you next week for a fun live where Drew and I are trying really off-meta stuff. There's still time to vote on which decks you want to see us play. And until then, keep questing.
I've been cooking.
You've been cooking?
I've been cooking actively, so you're not prepared.
Yeah, you can say it's a
Will,
puppy
will
deck.
Gabby
It's
be
fine.
prepared? Can I put them so that I am prepared?
You won't be.
Oh, shoot. Anyways, thanks, guys. And until next time, keep questing.